morning, and welcome to the First Religious Society Unitarian Universalist in Newburyport, Massachusetts. My name is Justin Murphy-Mancini, and I have the immense pleasure of serving as your Director of Church Music. We are living in challenging times. Forces press upon us that suggest that we live in fear, separation, and blame. Instead, we choose to come together as a church community committed to love, peace, and justice. Our core values are authentic connection, courageous action, love, spirituality, and wonder. Our mission and invitation to all of you is to come as you are, to journey together in love, to act with courage, and to transform our world. If you are visiting today or joining us for the first time, we are especially glad that you are with us this morning. As you join us online, there are links you can click to see today's order of service and hymns. If you joined from YouTube, the links are just below the live stream, and click on See More if necessary to see them. If you are watching from our website, there are buttons below the live stream. Folks joining us on Zoom will find the links in the chat window now. This morning is a very special one as we kick off our annual giving campaign. Many of you have received your campaign brochure and pledge card, so please take the opportunity later in the service to fill it out and send it back to the church. You can even stop by the front of the church today between 12 and 1 p.m. to drop it off with Reverend Rebecca and campaign co-chairs Mackenzie Rayfelt and Jill Porter. A digital version of the campaign brochure is available in the video description and in the chat now for you to see. Because we have many important and unique elements in this service, including many contributions from church members, we will not be sharing community joys and sorrows this morning. You are encouraged, however, to send them to betweenus@frsuu.org, where they are published via email every Monday morning. Every Sunday, we say it is no small thing that we have gathered. This morning, it is a particularly big thing that we have gathered, so let us give ourselves to it. I welcome one and all to our church and our worship service. Thank you. It is good to be together.
Our call to worship this morning are the words of the late Unitarian minister, Reverend Robert French Levins. Holy and beautiful is the custom which brings us together in the presence of the Most High, to face our ideals, to remember our loved ones in absence, to give thanks, to make confession, to offer forgiveness, to be enlightened and to be strengthened. Through this quiet hour breathes the worship of the ages, the cathedral music of history. 3 unseen guests attend. Faith, hope, and love. Let all our hearts prepare them place. You are joyfully called to worship. Please join now in saying our chalice lighting words as Justin lights the chalice. You may find the words printed in your order of service. We gather this hour as people of faith, with joys and sorrows, gifts and needs. We light this beacon of hope, sign of our quest for truth and meaning in celebration of the life we share together. Each week, we also light 2 candles of peace, representing 2 places on earth which we lift up and remember as a sacred encounter with our world. There are untold numbers of places on earth that need peace. These 2 we especially hold close in this service and through the week ahead. After each candle is lit, I invite you to speak the words for peace in English, Arabic, and Hebrew. Peace, salam, shalom. Our first candle this morning is lit for the city of Newburyport, where tomorrow at noon we will be joining other congregations in the city in ringing our church bells in honor of the 33 people, residents of Newburyport, who have lost their lives to COVID. This will be followed by an online short worship service at 1 p.m. where several of the clergy and the mayor will be leading a service and students will be speaking. Details are in the order of service. We hold their families and loved ones, the community, and the world in our thoughts and prayers that they may somehow know peace and for sure know they are not forgotten. Peace, salam, shalom. Our second candle this morning is lit for this, our sanctuary, where 2 years ago this Wednesday, we sanctified and celebrated together our commitment to our shared ministry, and you installed me as your settled minister. May our days and years ahead be blessed, and may our vision and dreams come into full and holy expression. Peace, salam, shalom. This morning, we also light a candle of hope and remembrance in recognition of the COVID-19 pandemic, all those who are struggling for economic security, all those who are fighting for their health, and all those who have lost their lives. We will light this candle each time we worship for as long as we live into this worldwide reality. Please join now in singing together our opening hymn, number 38, Morning Has Broken. You can find the words in the hymns document below the live stream. Please join now in saying our affirmation of faith, followed by the singing of the doxology. Both are printed in your order of service. Love is the doctrine of this church, and service is its prayer. The quest of truth is its sacrament. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve humankind in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. Thus do we covenant with each other and with God.
From all that dwell below the skies, let faith and hope with love arise. Let beauty, truth, and good be sung through every land by every tongue.
It is now my delight to share with you a video made by some of our children. They're going to share with us their ritual that they use each Sunday called Rose, Thorns, and Buds, which celebrates and lifts up their gifts, their challenges, and their hopes.
This is my thorn. When I had to stop playing to go to school. And this is my bud when I can go in the vacation house.
My thorn is that we have to wear masks with our friends. My bud is that my 8th birthday's coming up. And my rose is that we made blueberry muffins.
Hi, I'm Sophie, and my rose is that we can do dance, social distance. My bud is that the pandemic will be over soon, and my thorn is that we can't really see our friends.
Hi, I'm Maggie, and my rose is that there has been a vaccine that has been developed. My bud is that I hope the pandemic gets better soon and for many people. And my thorn is that there have been so many people who have died from COVID or during COVID, and their families have not been able to see them.
My rose is that my fish got a new tank. My bud is that Easter's coming up. And my thorn is that you cannot go into restaurants.
I am Charlie Himmel, and my rose is that my parents have gotten their first vaccination. My bud is that with the new COVID vaccine, hopefully the pandemic can start to stop. And my thorn is that many people have died because of COVID.
Is that your rose that you got some glasses?
Yeah.
This is the time in our service when the offering will be gratefully received. The generosity of our community is an essential ministry that supports the work of the church to live out our values, mission, and ends, both in Newburyport and beyond. Each week, 50% of the offering not designated as a pledge goes to a local community partner engaged in important efforts to transform our region. The February shared collection will support the Massachusetts Coalition to Prevent Gun Violence. The coalition brings together over 90 organizations across the state, including the First Religious Society, to end the epidemic of gun violence by advocating for improved policies around gun safety and partnering with community organizations working to end violence in their neighborhoods. Below the live stream, there is a link you can click to make your donation online. You will also find it in the chat now. You can also text a contribution by sending the word GIVE FRSUU to the number 73256. And of course, you can always mail a check to the church as well. Contributions from the weekly offering are down significantly this year due to our online worship format, so your generosity is especially appreciated at this time. Thank you.
now in a spirit of prayer and meditation. Sorry about that. Again, please join me in a spirit of prayer and meditation. The words of Jane Richardson, a prayer entitled Blessings for Broken. Starting with a quote from Henry David Thoreau, "There is no remedy for love but to love." Let us agree for now that we will not say the breaking makes us stronger, or that it is better to have this pain than to have done without this love. Let us promise we will not tell ourselves time will heal wounds, when every day our waking opens it anew. Perhaps for now it can be enough to simply marvel at the mystery of how a heart so broken can go on beating, as if it were made precisely for this, as if it knows the only cure for love is more of it, as if it sees the heart's sole remedy for breaking is to love still, as if it trusts that its own persistent pulse is the rhythm of a blessing we cannot begin to fathom, but will save us none the less. Amen. Please join now in a responsive reading. The words are in your order of service, entitled, This House. This house is for the ingathering of nature and human nature.
It is a house of friendships, a haven in trouble, an open room for the encouragement of our struggle.
It is a house of freedom, guarding the dignity and worth of every person.
It offers a platform for the free voice, for declaring both in times of security and danger the full and undivided conflict of opinion.
It is a house of truth-seeking, where scientists can encourage devotion to their quest, where mystics can abide in a community of searchers.
It is a house of art, adoring its celebrations with melodies and handiworks.
It is a house of prophecy, outrunning time past and times present in visions of growth and progress.
This house is a cradle for our dreams, the workshop of our common endeavor.
And now, I'm honored to share a video with you made by members of our core team who will be working with all of us as we move our ends. As we voted on our values and on our mission and on our ends that are found on the cover of your order of service. This core team will be working with us as we move these ends into specific goals. The staff have already begun their work on this. The core team has been engaged. The board will be doing this next week, and then we'll be engaging all of you as well. You'll be hearing a lot more about this, and we're excited to hear your thoughts and to affirm these together at our annual meeting in May.
Good morning. I am Forrest Speck, and I'd like to share with you some of my thoughts about the First Religious Society. I was 37 when Ann and I found this place. The qualities that drew me to this church family initially were the freedom from dogma of other churches that I could not believe, and second, the especially fine music program. Now I am almost 80, and over the intervening years I've discovered many other qualities that keep me here. the thoughtful and genuine people, our focus on bettering the lives of others, the generosity of spirit that pervades, the venerable history of almost 300 years, the wisdom from the pulpit, the classical yet adventurous music, and this beautiful sanctuary. Underpinning it all are the qualities of real spirituality and worship that are here every week, wording that we adopted last year in the first of our ends from the Statement of Value, Mission, and Ends. When I sit in pew 15 with the sun flooding in through the tall and wide welcoming windows, I sense the reverence, the peace, the humility, the humanity and affection shared by the 200 plus congregants seated here. Of course, now I am sitting with Annie in our living room watching services on the screen. But despite these unfortunate change, we know someday we'll be back in 26 Pleasant Street together. However, these remain the reasons we all give as much as we can to support the First Religious Society, and why I am sure we will again this year. Thank you.
Why do I support our UU Church? For me, it is about both investment and paying it forward. There was a time when I was the person who was on the receiving end of some deep generosity. It gave me a way out of domestic violence, moving me toward independence. It gave me strength, and especially it brought me hope. I learned that generosity changes lives. I know now that investing in people changes the lives of both the receiver and the giver. When I live in a community of people who are cared about, fed, and have hope, then I live in a community of great wealth. I believe that our FRS church community is that sort of place. I am deeply committed to the idea of welcoming people in all our diversity and creating belonging for one another. And so I'm grateful to belong to this church community that believes in this value enough to have made it one of our ends. I have always needed a spiritual home, a place where I can get quiet enough to feel the presence of the Spirit within me. I am proud of the truth that our church community sees the beauty in the uniqueness of each person. I love that as UUs we can be straight, bi, gay, questioning, and we are all welcome. I give because FRS UU makes space for us all. I give a share, a full share, because I want to know that there will always be a place for a lonely, seeking, scared person to feel welcomed. I believe that our FRS church community is that sort of place. I have had enough life experience now to have times where I gave with a feeling of great abundance, and other times when I've held back. I am not always a generous person by nature. I've had an argument with my inner voice every time that the generous side of me wants to give. But in the end, I like myself better when I can close my eyes and ask myself if I have honestly done enough. When I am able to say yes and really mean it, it is then that I like myself the best. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Renee Wolf-Foster. I joined FRS in 2018, began working on the Mission Vision project in April 2019, and became a member of the parish board last year, which I think might make me sound very outgoing or very ambitious, and I am not. Before I responded to Kristen Fellhaber's request for volunteers 2 years ago, I just stared at my computer screen for several minutes. I'm not a joiner. I don't know anybody at FRS except Reverend Rebecca, but her sermons and her kindness had sustained me those past few months, and I wanted to support her. I also don't talk about my life at work. They just want me to be the strong business manager, but with my parents, who need me to be the strong only child. If it weren't for my loving husband, I would do nothing but work and take care of my parents. Talk to my cats. I've never been a part of any kind of community. I didn't have any idea what that might even feel like. I decided it was time I tried to find out, and so I sent that email. The first meeting I went to, it was like nothing I'd ever experienced. Each of the other volunteers talked about how much they cared about FRS, how much they wanted to support a strong future for the congregation. They wanted to give their time, energy, anything else they could, joyfully, unabashedly, and with open hearts. And so did I. So I stayed involved with the mission and vision work, and I'm grateful that I was invited to join the parish board last year. Of all of the ends, the one that I am most drawn to is to support one another in joys, sorrows, and transitions of our life's journeys. My parents aren't doing so well right now, and I am very grateful for the kindness I've received from other members. We have so much to offer to each other, to our community, and it is so worth our time, our energy, and anything else we can give.
Good morning. My name is Tina Bennick, and I wanted to share with you this morning why I choose to commit and pledge my time and resources to FRS. I came to FRS and Newburyport about 2.5 years ago. I did not have UU in my background. I had spent time in and out of various Protestant churches over my lifetime, and I had a generally cordial, if not always close, relationship with them over the years. I knew when I found FRS that I had found an extremely special place. From the beginning, there were many opportunities to connect with others in the congregation. One of the first opportunities was an invitation to a fellowship dinner. What a joyful and warm way to be welcomed into the FRS community. From there, many other opportunities to deeply connect were offered, from chalice circles to studying world religions, to being given the opportunity to contribute to the mission, vision, ends work. Then COVID hit, but our opportunities to connect and be sustained continued. They continued under the steadfast guidance of Reverend Rebecca and the talented FRS leadership staff. These included the End of Policing Study Group, the Seeing White Study Group, and the Anti-Racist Initiative, and also care pods, which sprung up in response to COVID. In many of these experiences, I found a community of people willing to share at a vulnerable and authentic level that I had not often previously found. As I thought about these experiences and where they were leading, and as I started to think about pledging and committing this year, I realized that a fundamental shift in my thinking had occurred. Pre-FRS, I had thought of church as being a place where one comes primarily for spiritual sustenance and learning, and not necessarily where the, quote, real work of the world was done. That, I thought, was done by other not-for-profit organizations I volunteered for. With FRS, I came to understand that we are committing not only to do the spiritual work, but we're also committing to take our beliefs and values and apply them, that our work is the real work of the community and the world. It brought into sharp focus the language we have included in our mission, vision, ends, namely that we seek to, quote, work in partnership as individuals and as a congregation to advance justice and put courageous love and service to our community and the world. This commitment to impacting not only our congregation, but also our community and the world is one of the key reasons I joyfully pledge and commit to FRS. I hope you will consider it too.
Is it on now? Sorry. I've yet to fully get used to understanding when what is happening, so anyway. But I continue to hold you in my heart and imagine you all right here and there online. And I thank our core team very much for their words from their heart and their honesty. My best year in college was one when I had fewer choices. My best year in college was the one when I had fewer choices. I only had a couple of friends, no car, 2 pairs of jeans, and 1 dress. Unhappy my freshman and sophomore year, I had debated between transferring to another school and studying abroad for my junior year. After much deliberation, I chose to study in Bangor, Wales. Once I made the decision, things began to move. My choice to leave everything and everyone I knew for a year was not easy. And I knew it was right. Even with the restriction of being allowed only one suitcase for the entire year, thus my 2 pairs of jeans and 1 dress, and a lot of books. In hindsight, I've come to appreciate how having fewer choices that year was an important reason why it was so good. Without a car, I explored everything on foot. Walking the steep hills on the campus and in the small city nestled in between rocky mountains, I can still feel it. It kept me fit, and more importantly, it connected me to a rugged, natural beauty, unlike anything I had ever experienced. Liverpool was an hour car drive away, London and Scotland a few hours of a train ride, and with a relatively short plane ride, I could have been backpacking all over Europe. If those things had been an option, I would not have discovered myself the way that I did. Fewer friends meant I didn't have to contend with the pressures of sororities and parties and things that weren't me. Even my 2 jeans and 1 dress, which seemed at first to be horrific, turned out to be a gift. And imagine my surprise when I realized my new non-American university friends had no more clothes in total than I did in my suitcase. I returned from that year a different person, perhaps more of my true self, someone I've never lost and only nurtured. There are many other examples in my life where making a decision opened pathways I could never have imagined, and that would not have been possible had I not made the decision. Joining my first Unitarian Universalist church as a single mother was one of those decisions. Every one of the decisions involved taking risks, making an investment, a large investment of my heart, time, and often money. And every one of those decisions involved letting go of other choices and options, often things that mattered a great deal. And I wouldn't change a single one of those decisions. I'm sure you have yours too. I've been privileged, very privileged, to make choices. It is not the case for many people. And so my words in reflection this morning, I just need to say and acknowledge, they are about the decisions that we can make, which includes the decision to do all that we can to help make this world an equitable place, so that all people are free and able to make decisions about their lives. Living in indecision, or the tepid waters of commitment, has its place, such as when you're trying new things or evaluating options. There comes a time, however, when the tepid waters get cold. And one day you realize you've stayed too long in the place of indecision. You grew too comfortable and forgot you were never meant to stay there. At some point, we need to surrender, decide, and let the rest unfold. The hardest part about deciding, for me, whether these are large or small decisions, is the fear that I might be wrong. What if I'm not following my heart? Or what if I'm misreading my aspirations? There might be something better, more important, or more promising just around the corner. Last week, I asked you to send me some stories about times that you made commitments and decisions in your life and how doing that affected your life. I want to share just a few of them. One of you shared about her decision to face cancer head-on with a positive attitude, promising her family she would do everything she could to beat it. I promised them, she wrote, that if they helped me, I would fight my hardest and would not give up even when it got hard. I remember the first time I met this mother of triplets, Erin Hutchinson Himmel, at her home while she was still in treatment. Her family, every one of them, are beacons of light in this congregation. Another of you wrote about the time you decided to move, uplift your life after your wife suddenly died. You shared what a scary time it was and how that decision ultimately ushered in a whole new life for you. That's my dad. I know it hasn't been easy. And I also know how much he loves his wife, not so new any longer, and the life that they've built together. Ann Hauser wrote about her commitment to addressing gun violence. She shared how challenging it is to care so deeply about something people often don't want you to talk about because it's painful and it brings them down. It's easy to love and have compassion for the survivors who are forced to live in this reality, predominantly black and brown people, she wrote. It's harder not to get frustrated with the people who turn away or who say they want to help and don't show up, or who show up and don't stay. Anne also wrote about the gifts that come with this kind of commitment, all of which can be boiled down to one word: community. The gift of being part of a community of other people similarly committed to an issue, who see the work you put in and who will talk about the truth of what is happening, no matter how difficult. Making commitments of any kind can be scary and hard, and it is also beautiful and necessary for a fulfilling life. Sorry. I took the decision almost 3 years ago of becoming your minister very seriously. When I said yes to being the minister of this congregation, I meant it. It hasn't always been easy. At times it's been quite hard, especially this year. I'll be honest, there were times in my first year here, when it got hard, that I would think about ways out. I know, I would tell myself, I'll leave. I'll go where they really appreciate me. Which is, of course, silly and immature and stems from a place of fear. So the summer after my first year here, I had a long and life-changing talk with myself. Now, Reverend Rebecca, I said, stop. You know what's happening. You're scared. There are unknowns here. You still miss other places and other people. You wonder, what if those things don't make this decision wrong? Stop looking for a way out. Live into this decision wholeheartedly, and let's see what happens. With that talk, when I finally surrendered totally, something changed. Once I told my monkey mind it needed to occupy itself in other ways, I dropped deeper into us, into this, our church. And thank goodness I did, because 9 months later, COVID-19 was here in full force. The true journey begins when we make a decision. That doesn't mean you won't change your mind. However, that will be a different decision. There's something fundamentally different about completely surrendering fully and making a decision, and knowing when it's time to make a different decision. The other decisions will also require you to not stay too long in the tepid waters of indecision. This has been, well, I wrote down it's been a wonderful year. This has been a year of growth, change, challenges, sweet moments, self-discovery, technology discovery, missing you all terribly. However, never once, not for a moment, did I revert to indecision. I am here. We are here. This is our reality. This is our beloved community to hold, care for, and lift up. I can't do this alone. None of us can. We have to do it together. Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that beautiful? At our training for the people who are helping in this year's campaign, we asked everyone to offer 3 words that described what FRS means to them. Tears were running down my face by the time everyone finished. It was breathtaking. Such an important reminder and affirmation. I also asked on Facebook and got some additional responses, and here's what you said. What FRS means to me in 3 words. Always in need of money, ideals, family, community, values, tradition, worship, action, social justice, experience, home, love, connecting, caring for others within and beyond our beloved community, friendship, nourishment, foundation, centering, history, democracy, hope, faith, peace, spiritual home, making the world a better place, challenge, support, inner strength, congregation, ushers, music, character, change, beauty, commitment, acceptance, exploration, ritual, comfort, and amazing. This year, we are facing a 15.5% budget deficit if we do not make our annual giving goal of $520,000. The increase this year in this goal is due almost entirely to decreased revenues. This includes the ending of the Verizon cell tower lease at some $36,000 and loss of income from building rentals that can't be happening this past year, and face-to-face fundraising during the pandemic that changed. This increased goal this year, it only includes a 2% increase in expenses. That is over cost of living adjustments for staff that didn't happen last year, and a few insurance rate increases. There's something very different this year. If we don't make this goal, there's nothing the board can return to and just not do. It's not about dreams and hopes and aspirations of new things that won't happen. I don't know what they would do. They would be forced to make decisions you don't want them to have to make, and I don't want them to have to make. So we raise all of our own money here, just like a nonprofit. We don't receive any money from the Unitarian Universalist Association, and we ask all of our friends and members and supporters to make what's called a pledge, so the board can actually feel confident in the commitments that we're making to our staff and to the care of this building and to our programs and ministries in the world. So this pledge, which is a written promise, is to contribute a certain amount of money over the next year, which in this case is actually July 1st of this year to June 30th of next year. You can do this in a few minutes by completing an online pledge form that there'll be a link to in a couple of minutes, coming by church today between noon and 1, where we will be masked outside to graciously and gratefully accept your contributions. You can also mail a pledge form or make a donation. I know this has been a hard year for all of us. I know you may feel uncertain about what is to come personally, in the world, what life may look like next year. It's so hard to be apart. We will be back together in whatever that new normal looks like, in person and online. We need to be ready and able to do that. I believe in this congregation. I believe in the spiritual home we provide, how we care for one another, and the work we do for social justice in our community and in the world. And I believe in our Unitarian Universalist faith. I'm asking you to help so that we can pay our staff, grow our programs, live into our dreams, mission and values, and all we're meant to be. In a moment, we're going to take 5 minutes of quiet, during which time Justin will play music. I ask all of us to consider carefully what you are called to pledge to this church and elsewhere in your life. What other decision is it time to make a commitment to? Make your personal commitments during these 5 minutes in your heart, or maybe by writing them down, and make your commitment to our church by completing your pledge form. And then we'll come back together to close our service. So I ask us all, to what and to whom do we pledge ourselves? And I close with words from Poet Laureate Amanda Gorman. We did not feel prepared to be the heirs of such a terrifying hour, but within it we found the power to author a new chapter. For there is always light, if only we're brave enough to see it, if only we're brave enough to be it. Amen, and blessed be. Please join now in singing together our closing hymn, number 318, We Would Be One. I do hope to see some of you outside in front of the church from noon to 1 today and each of our next 2 Giving Sundays. I also hope you'll join in next Sunday. It will be quite a different service than today's, entitled Quiet Down. It will be a more contemplative service designed for all of us to listen to that inner self, giving space and time so that our actions come from our truth. Please join in our unison benediction. The words are in your order of service. May the love which overcomes all differences, which heals all wounds, which puts to flight all fears, which reconciles all who are separated, be in us and among us, now and always. My friends, as we depart today, may we go knowing that we are held. We are held by this community, here where we are called to be ourselves, to go into each and every day giving all that we can. Give us the courage to make the decisions that will better the lives of ourselves, those we love, those around us, that will allow us to live each and every day of our life until the very end, saying thank you and amen. Go in peace, my friends, and return again in great joy. Amen and blessed be.